Thank you so much, Stefan. You now have those phrases etched in your brain to share when you go home. In addition to these phrases, you may find yourself also reminiscing about your own experiences, what it was like for you. How will you explain this experience to your family and friends? The good news is that we have someone who you have selected to share your collective experience as GMP participants, as well as his personal transformation in the program. Please join me in welcoming Rishi, your class speaker, to the stage.
But good afternoon to my fellow graduates of GMP 40. Congratulations, we did it! To Professor Tomke, our faculty chair, to Linda, go ahead, George, Scott, Rafael, and Leslie and Tarun, thank you. Thank you for challenging us. And Das, of course. I have a dedicated one for Das, of course. Thank you for making us feel challenged, incompetent, and capable in the same 90 minutes. That is an art form, for sure. To our program team, Elisa, Ashley, Kelly, Taylor, and Sam, thank you so much. Can we give them a huge round of applause, please? 20 years of GMP, what a milestone. To our coaches, to our living group staff, the housekeeping team, and the quiet heroes who kept the coffee flowing in the lounge at midnight, thank you so much. And thank you our families and the teams at work who kept holding the fort back home when we were here learning. So thank you so much. Now I wanted to take you back to a few weeks ago, to the week one, right? 90 of us sitting in Aldrich Hall, staring at our name cards like they're going to bite us. And then Professor Das walks in, right? I mean, Das has a gift, right? He doesn't randomly cold call. He looks at the case, he looks at the roster, and he will choose one person in the room who happens to work in the exact same industry as the case. And you could feel the tension in the room, right? Everybody's praying like, not me, not me, not me. And then Das would smile, right? That patient, terrifying smile of Das. And somewhere in the room, the students will feel their souls leaving their bodies. And that was our welcome to Harvard Business School. Now, if Das was a prosecutor, Rafael was a philosopher. Rafael, you tell us, guys. Argentine, brilliant, and the owner of the most expressive size in the academia. Week one, we got one side, a gentle side, little disappointed, but a hopeful side. Week 2, we got 10 sides per class. Utter disappointment. By week 3, we stopped counting. And then we got to the Argentina case, guys. His own country. I swear to you, I've never seen a man look so betrayed by the entire nation. Well, Rafael, on behalf of GMP 40, we are sorry for the peso. We are sorry for the inflation. But thank you, genuinely, for teaching us the macroeconomics is not a chart, it's a feeling. Thank you. Now here is the thing about GMP 40. Somewhere between these cold calls and size, we became something, right? We became a cohort. We built our own Shark Tank because apparently 4 modules of cases were not enough. Thank you, Sam. We had to piece to each other too. We had dance rehearsals because nothing says senior executives like practicing dance at midnight. We had people fall in love. I'm not going to take names and make Flo and T mad. Sorry, guys. And we have a WhatsApp group, which, if it ever leaks, it will end several careers instantaneously. This is not a normal graduating class. This is a small, weird, and brilliant family. And somewhere along the way, we actually learned things. Linda, you taught us the leadership is not a title. It is a choice that you make over and over and over again, usually when nobody's watching. Stefan, thank you for architecting an experience that rewarded how we think about innovation as discipline. And you gave us the courage to experiment when we are afraid of results. Rohit, he gave us 3 lenses: economic, legal, and ethical. And he reminded us that true leadership requires all 3 lenses, not 1, not 2, all 3 of them. Scott taught us finance. More importantly, he told us that the numbers tell us a story. But they don't tell us the whole story. Tarun showed us how value actually gets created by stretching the state, raising willingness to pay, never considering the price with the worth. George, you drew us the 4 C's: clarity, capability, consequences, collaboration, the bridge that closes the gap between where we are, where we want to be. And Rafael, you taught us beyond every economy, there are human beings trying their best or their worst. And of course, Das taught us 4S framework: select, serve, sustain, and survive. But in his final class, he taught us something that no framework can hold. He reminded us that the excellence is in the eye of the customer. And the leadership at its core is a quiet discipline of putting people forward. He didn't just teach us the service strategy. He showed us what a life of service looks like. But the biggest lesson of GMP 40 was not in any framework. It was actually on the chalkboard. Early in Module 4, we did an exercise with you, Linda. Best pass and worst pass, we had 2 columns, 90 executives, each of us writing down the traits of best and worst leaders we had ever worked for. And when we stepped back, the pattern was unmistakable. The best bosses were not the smartest people in the room. They were not the most technical. They were not the ones with the fancy degrees. They were the ones who listened, who unlocked potential, who gave direct feedback. They were demanding, but fair. And the worst bosses, inconsistent, impatient, threw people under the bus, didn't listen. And sitting there, I realized something uncomfortable. Every one of us in this room has been both. Who has been someone's best boss, but somewhere along the lines, whether you know it or not, we have been someone's worst. And then George closed one of his sessions with a line that I haven't been able to forget. Said that organizations respond to what you do, not what you say. The culture is not built in the vision statement. The people who report to us, they don't remember our vision statements. They remember how we behaved on a Tuesday afternoon when things were going sideways. They remember whether we protected them, whether we supported them. That is what leadership is. Not the framework, not the slide deck, not the strategy offsite. That Tuesday afternoon, sideways days, what did you do? And in today's world, a world of disruption, instability, geopolitical realignment, our organizations are looking at us for a signal. It is our responsibility as leaders to send the right one. GMP 40. In a few hours, we scattered. Back to our companies, back to our countries, our boards, our families, back to our children who may have grown an inch since we left, and the partners who have been heroic enough during our absence. But we are going to go back changed. Not because Harvard gave us a degree, not because we mastered every framework, but because for 4 modules, we sat in a room with people from Tokyo to Sao Paulo, from Mumbai to Munich, from Lagos to San Diego. And we argued, we disagreed, we laughed, we listened. And in doing that, we learned one thing that no textbook can teach us. The world is bigger than your worldview, and the best heroes are the humble ones who are humble enough to remember that. So as we leave, I will not wish you success because you're already successful. But I'll wish you something harder. I wish you courage to have conversations that you have been avoiding. I wish you humility to change your mind when the data changes. And I wish you integrity because Rohit reminded us that nothing else matters without it. Leadership is a responsibility. And above all, I wish you people. I wish you people a living group, a cohort that became your family, a WhatsApp chain of humans who will fly across the oceans when you need them. Because decades from now, when we look back on this week, we will not remember frameworks. We'll remember each other. Someone asked me last night what I would title this chapter of our lives. It's crazy, I thought about it for a long time. And then I realized the answer is freaking obvious. GMP40, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
You can be the King Kong hanging on your chest. You could beat the world, you could beat the war. You can talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You could be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you go find yourself.